A very good day and a warm welcome from all of us here at Bibaswan Educational Foundation. As all of you are aware, the NDA II examination for the year 2025 took place on the 14th of September. As such, we, the educators here at Bibaswan Educational Foundation, are here to present to you an analysis of the question paper of the examination. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the fact that this analysis of the question paper is not only beneficial to students who are appearing for the examination this year, but also for those who are going to prepare for the NDA examination of 2026. As such, you have to look at this video not only in terms of figuring out whether your answers were right or wrong, but also to understand how NDA frames their question papers, how we need to prepare our mindsets accordingly, and accordingly we have to also understand the demands that the examiner or the examination is expecting of us. So without any further ado, we are going to go forward with the GAT question paper analysis. My name is Shantan Vishnu and the topic that I'll be focusing on is general studies. We move on to the first question of the general studies section of this paper. Question number 76. Who among the following presided over the first session of All India Kisan Sabha in Lucknow in April 1936? This is, of course, as all of you are aware, this is from modern history. Right? So this is from modern history. Now the thing is, one of the options over here might be wrong, in the sense that this person right over here, R.G. Ranga, is probably referring to somebody called N.G. Ranga. Right? Now Jayaprakash Narayan over here is associated with the Janata Party. Ram Manohar Lohia is associated with the Socialist Party. N.G. Ranga is associated with the Swatantra Party. So, by virtue of elimination, we have come to the conclusion that the correct answer for question number 76 is option number A, Sahajananda Saraswati. Moving on, question number 77. Who among the following founded the self-respect movement? Now, self-respect movement is again from modern history. Now, we have a set of names over here. Option A, Jyotiba Phule. Option B, Swami Vivekananda. Option C, E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker. And option D, B.R. Ambedkar. Jyotiba Phule is associated with Satya Sodhak Samaj. Swami Vivekananda is associated with Ramakrishna Mission. Dr. Ambedkar is associated with a lot of organizations like All India Scheduled Castes Federation, Bahishkrit Hitkarini, and by virtue of elimination again, the correct answer for question 77 is E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker. So the first two questions of general studies are from modern history. But what should the aspirants understand from these two questions? You have to understand that first of all, they are asking about organizations over here. They are asking about organizations. They are asking about movements. So everybody, every candidate should have a comprehensive mind map about who founded particular organizations, who were the first presidents of those particular organizations, and when it comes to movements, who is the person who started that particular movement, in which year was that movement started. These are certain details that you need to keep in mind when you're preparing for modern history. Now we move on to question number 78. Chola inscriptions mention several categories of lands. Which one of the following was meant for the maintenance of schools? Now, this is very interesting because a question of a similar sort has been asked in other competitive examinations as well. So, what do we understand from this particular question? That Chola history is very important, which is from medieval India, and a little bit from ancient India as well. Now you have to understand that they're not asking you about any particular ruler, or they're asking you about a particular monument made by that ruler. No, they're asking you about a particular terminology. These are what we call terminology based questions. These are terminology based questions. And if you, the aspirant, have done a thorough analysis of all the PYQs, not only for NDA itself, but for other examinations of a similar level, then you will be able to easily crack this question. But for your benefit, I have actually mentioned what all of these terms actually mean. The correct answer for this question, as I've already marked over here, is Shalabhoga. But what are the other terms? You need to know about the other terms as well. So whenever you are looking through the analysis provided, most of the time you will only get this is a correct answer and so on. But we at Bibaswan need to, or rather we stress upon this particular fact, that a simple presentation of what is the right answer or what is the wrong answer is not sufficient. You need to understand why those particular options were given. So for example, Tirunamattukani is the land given to temples. So obviously we can eliminate this option because it is said what was meant for the maintenance of schools. Vellan Vagai was the land which was given to farmers who were not Brahmins. Palli Chandam was the land which was given to Jains or Jain institutions. So again, by a process of elimination, we can go for Shalabhoga. Question number 79. Which of the following statements about the Home Rule League are correct? Again, this is from modern history. This refers to a particular organization. This refers to a particular organization. And one of the most important organizations for the Indian independence movement. So, in the course of merely 4 questions, we are seeing 3 questions about organizations and movements from modern history, right? So you as the aspirant must understand that this is something I need to extensively focus upon, right? Now, the options for this are given in the next slide. Lokmanya Tilak set up the Home Rule League at the Bombay Provincial Conference held at Belgaum in April 1960. Okay. Annie Besant announced the formation of Home Rule League in September 1960. To avoid friction, Tilak's league was to work in Maharashtra, excluding Bombay city, Karnataka, central provinces and Berar, and Besant's league was given charge of the rest of India. Now, what are the tricky parts of this question? First of all, the month has been specified over here. Now, if the examiner would have simply given you the year, like if they would have just written held at Belgaum in 1960 and Annie Besant announced the formation of Home Rule League in 1960, it would have been easy to figure out that both of these options are correct because both of these statements, if I was just giving the year, it was correct. But the thing is, because Lokmanya Tilak was starting Home Rule League in a separate manner and Annie Besant was organizing her Home Rule League in a separate manner, for these particular organizations, you need to remember which particular month is important to them. Option number 1 is correct. Lokmanya Tilak started the Home Rule League first in the month of April, and then Annie Besant followed it up in September 1960. So option number 1 and 2 are correct. Now, what should you do in the examination hall? The moment you see that option number 1 and 2 are correct, you can easily cancel these two options because they do not contain option 1 and 2 together, right? So you have eliminated these two options. You are left with option number A and option number D. Although I have marked option number D over here as correct, which is the correct answer of this question, but I am trying to simulate, I am trying to recreate the environment or the mindset of an aspirant in the examination hall. And that is why I am showing you the techniques that you need to employ. And this is my message to the future aspirants. I'm showing you the techniques that you need to employ whenever you are sitting for any government examination, specifically those conducted by UPSC, right? So 1 and 2 is correct. We are left with option A and option D. Now, I have marked excluding Bombay city over here. Now, a lot of people will think that Lokmanya Tilak was very popular in Maharashtra. So why will he exclude Bombay city? He will include Bombay city because Lokmanya Tilak was very popular in Maharashtra and Bombay is the capital. So people will think that option number 3 is incorrect because why will Lokmanya Tilak not create a Home Rule League branch in Bombay? But the thing is, statement number 3 is also true. Lokmanya Tilak, when he was setting up the Home Rule League organization, he set it up in the entirety of Maharashtra except Bombay, Karnataka, Central Provinces and Berar. So which Home Rule League leader was taking charge of Bombay? It was Annie Besant. So by virtue of this idea, option number D is correct. Which one of the following statements about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar is not correct? Remember, whenever you are sitting down in the examination hall and reading the question, please always underline if it's mentioned correct or not correct. It says not correct. Now, students in their nervousness or anxiety might completely overlook that not word. They'll be like, okay, which of this is correct? I'll mark and just come out of the examination hall. No, please be very, very careful about this. Very, very careful. Now, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar are again connected with the movement. Modern history. Which particular movement? Connected to widow remarriage. And what kind of a movement was this? This was a social reform movement. And we have faced a similar question about a social reform movement before, when we were doing that question about, just a second, when we were doing that question about E.V. Ramaswamy Naikkar. That is self-respect. Right. So we have two questions from social reform movements. So you understand how important that particular subject is when it comes to modern history. So let us go through the options for this right now. He was the principal of Sanskrit College, Calcutta. This is correct. He was a government inspector of schools. This is also correct. He was a secretary to the Bethune School in Kolkata. Absolutely correct. Now the point is, this is a very tricky option. He was the founder of the Widow Remarriage Association. Now when we think about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, we think that okay, because he is the person for whose efforts, due to whose efforts, Widow Remarriage Act was passed in India. So he might have founded an organization called Widow Remarriage Association, and we will consider this as correct. And we will try to think, okay, maybe option A, B and C, one of these is incorrect. But you have to understand, even though Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was very important, was very pivotal in passing the Widow Remarriage Act in India, he was not the founder of the Widow Remarriage Association. It was established by Mahadev Govind Ranade in 1861, and there is also another person called Vishnu Shastri Pandit who is also associated with the Widow Remarriage Association. So the point is, this is a confusion that you need to keep in mind. This is the way your examiners are tricking you. They will place this option. A student will read the question very fast and think, okay, Vidyasagar is associated with Widow Remarriage Act, so he might have founded Widow Remarriage Association, hence this is correct, and option A, B and C, one of them is going to be incorrect. But no, option D is incorrect, and as such, the question is asking which of the following statements is not correct, hence this is your answer to the question. Now I'll show you a very interesting thing. This is question number 80, right? Look at question number 81 and look over here. widow remarriage association repeated in the very next question itself. So this is the way, again, you can understand that this one way you could have solved this is if you had gone to the next question and saw that there was widow remarriage association written over here and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's name is not here. So that option is going to be incorrect. You could have thought of it in this way. But you have to be patient. You have to be calm-minded in the examination hall. Because the moment you saw question number 80 and then move to question number 81, you'll be like, okay, there's widow remarriage association. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's name is not here. This is very interesting. So maybe he's not the founder of the widow remarriage association. That is how you could have easily, cracked question number 80. Again, social reformer, social work or text. Vishnu Shastri Pandit, option number A, is connected with widow remarriage association. So option A will be connected to 2. Karsan Das Mulji. Karsan Das Mulji is associated with Satya Prakash. So option number B is connected to 3. Now there is only one option which satisfies this criteria, but nevertheless we'll go through all of these options so that you have an understanding. Debendranath Tagore, who is the father of Rabindranath Tagore, he founded Tattvabodhini Sabha. C, option number 4. And D, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he wrote a book called Vedic Physics, Scientific Origin of Hinduism. So we have D, option number 1. There is only one option which satisfies this criteria. As such, you can easily figure that out. Next question. In the Harappan civilization, traces of canals have been found at, the options are option A, Banwali, option B, Lothal, option C, Shortughai, and option D, Dholavira. Now the thing is, you have to understand where the locations are. Banwali is in Haryana. Lothal is in Gujarat. Dholavira is also in Gujarat. Shortughai is in Afghanistan. And Banwali, as I've already mentioned, is in Haryana. Now, what were the discoveries which were founded? Like, what were the discoveries which were made over here? Right. In Banwali, you have the evidence of pre-Harappan, Harappan and post-Harappan phases. Like showing the layers of a civilization which existed before the Harappan civilization, proper Harappan civilization, and of the existence of a culture after the Harappan civilization. That is what you can find in Banwali. So obviously there is no mention of a canal over here. You can easily eliminate that. Dholavira, Lothal and Shortughai are the 3 confusing options. Lothal has the presence of a dockyard. You know, the place where all the ships come and they are anchored and they stay over there. Dholavira in Gujarat has a unique water management system, which you can see over there. And Shortughai in Afghanistan, which is our correct option, actually shows canals. But the thing is, people will think, okay, Lothal and Dholavira both have some connection to water in some form or the other. And because Lothal is perhaps the more popular name among all of these 4, people will think that maybe it's Lothal. Because there is a dockyard, there might be some canals nearby. So they will be like, Lothal is the correct option. And they will eliminate Afghanistan because they will think Afghanistan is a very arid area. It's an area which has very little vegetation, if I might just say so. So obviously canals are not there. So they will think they will eliminate Shortughai and they will select Lothal. No, the correct answer for this is Shortughai. Again, we have something from medieval history. This question is from medieval history. Right. Arrange the following travelers to India in chronological order, beginning with the earliest. Peter Mundy, Antonio Monserrate, Afanasi Nikitin, and Ibn Battuta. Right. Now we have to arrange accordingly what? Who is the person among these 4 who came the earliest to India? And then accordingly we'll arrange them with who is the person who was the last to come to India. Ibn Battuta came in 1333, around the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Afanasi Nikitin came in 1471. Antonio Monserrate came in 1578 and Peter Mundy came in 1628. Antonio Monserrate came during his time. Akbar. Now the thing is, we have already figured out the dates. So 4, 3, 2, 1, which is the correct answer. Now, what do we understand from here? First of all, there are two things I need to explain about this particular question. One, you need to understand whenever you are reading medieval history plus ancient history for your NDA examination, please keep a track of all the travelers who have come to India. You know, names like Fa Hien, Huan Sang. These are names that you have heard of in the course of your preparation. So you have to understand when did they come to India, who was the king when they came to India, which were the particular places they visited, what have they written about the Indian culture, the Indian society at that time. You need to remember these things. There is a dedicated chapter in NCERT with respect to the travelers who have come to India. There is a dedicated chapter for that. And if you had studied that chapter properly, this question would have been easy for you to crack. But this question is also connected to current affairs. Because this particular person's name, Afanasi Nikitin, his name was mentioned repeatedly in 2024 or 2025 roundabouts, where they were celebrating the anniversary of his arrival to India. Right, somewhere around, like he came in 1471, so roughly like 600 years or so odd of his arrival in India. So it was there repeatedly in the news. So that is why this is not only somewhat of a current affairs based question, but this is also has some static elements involved in it. There is a dedicated chapter in NCERT for that. And so whenever you're preparing for ancient or medieval history, you need to read about the travelers. Every traveler, Fa Hien, Huan Sang, Suleiman, Ibn Battuta, Antonio Monserrate, Peter Mundy, you have to study about all of them. Moving on. With which of the following was the Bretton Woods system not associated? Not. Very important. Now, Bretton Woods system is associated with International Monetary Fund. Yes, it is. It is associated with International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the modern name for which is World Bank. And it was also associated with economic recovery after the Second World War. It is not associated with the establishment of a monetary system based on a floating exchange rate. It means an exchange rate which keeps changing. Like say for example, if you think about it, nowadays we hear that $1 equal to 80 rupees in India. Maybe a few months later it will be $1 equal to 75 rupees or something like that. So it keeps changing, right? So that is a floating exchange rate. This was talking about a fixed exchange rate based on the US dollar. So as such, this is the wrong option. And so this is the answer to our question, because they are asking you not associated, this is not associated with it. Now we have a question number 85, which is, I would say, I wouldn't call it problematic, but at the same time this question is probably wrong. The question reads, Sengutuvan is the name of option A, a Pandya ruler, option B, a Chola king, option C, a minister in Satavahana court, and option D, the capital city of the Cheras. Now the thing is, Sengutuvan is associated with the Cheras, yes, but it is not the capital city of the Cheras. No, Sengutuvan is a Chera king. Sengutuvan is a Chera king. As such, you cannot see any of it in these options over here. So this question is probably wrong. Question number 86. The Ramacharita, an example of Divyasriya Kavya, telling two stories simultaneously, was written by option A Subandhu, option B Bhatti, option C Sandhyakar, and option D Kamban. Now the thing is, I'll show you the trick over here. The trick is to choose between Sandhyakar and Kamban, because Subandhu is somebody who's written something called Vasavadatta. So you can automatically cancel this. Bhatti wrote something called Bhatti Kavya. Again, you can eliminate this. Sandhyakar and Kamban is the confusing thing. Now see, the question says Ramacharita. So it is connected with Ramayana in some form or the other. Kamban has actually written a book, a version of the Ramayana, which is called Kamban's Ramayana. So people might think that Kamban is the correct option, but it's not. The correct option is Sandhyakara. Right? This is the way how your examiners play with your mind, in the sense that they will give you options which are very similar to each other, and you'll have to use your knowledge and all of that to figure out the correct thing. One more thing, Pandya Chola, remember I mentioned Chola history. In that same era, you have to study Pandyas and Cholas and all of that. And one more important thing, you need to study the names of literary works written during the ancient and medieval history. You need to study them. Next one. Which of the following acts establish the board of control? Establish the board of control to guide and control the work of the court of directors and the government of India. This is connected with modern history, specifically with the chapter called British Administrative Policies. A lot of questions are from modern history, as you have noticed. British Administrative Policies. The correct answer is Pitt's India Act of 1784. But you also need to understand what are the particular provisions in Charter Act of 1793, what are the particular provisions of 1830, what are the particular provisions in the Regulating Act of 1773. You need to understand all of them. It is only then that you will be able to answer this question. There is no logical guessing or anything that you can do for questions like this. Question number 88. Who among the following Sikh gurus laid the foundation of the Khalsa Panth? The answer for that is Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Question number 89. Which among the following plans is also known as the Mahalanobis plan? The Mahalanobis plan is named after the famous Indian statistician P.C. Mahalanobis. And the correct answer to that is the second 5-year plan. The first 5-year plan extensively focused on agriculture. The second 5-year plan focused on industrialization. This is your answer to the question. So we have one more question from economy, rather the economic history of India. Which of the following years were the years of the annual plans? Now what are the annual plans? Again, a little bit of trickery involved over here. Okay, so what happened is, earlier in India, you had something called the 5-year plans. As in, it would lay out a template of what the government or what the administration wanted to achieve over the next 5 years that they would be in the governance of the country. Right. So we had this idea called 5-year plans, which has now been stopped because Niti Aayog has taken over the role of the Planning Commission of India. The Planning Commission of India was actually in charge of these 5-year plans. Now, annual plan, first of all, the word annual means 1 year each. So instead of having one plan for 5 years, what they were doing, they were laying out plans for 1 year duration. Now students will be like, okay, 1956 to 1957, 1975 to 1976, 1992 to 1993. All three of these are 1 year plans. All of these are for a span of 1 year. Right. So they will be like, okay, option A, C or D could be one of our correct options. But no. If you know the history of India properly, you will know that this particular time around the 1960s, you have the Indo-China War. You have the Indo-China War taking place. So it was a particularly sensitive situation in the country. And because of the war that was happening, the planning could not be done for a long stretch of 5 years. No. What could be done was they would lay out plans like say from 1966 to 1967, then from 1967 to 1968, then from 1968 to 1969. So the correct answer for this is option B, 1966 to 1969. All of these other options are there to confuse you, because you will look at these options and you'll be like, okay, annual plans, which means plans for 1 year each. All of these have a difference of 1 year, so any one of them is going to be the answer. Okay. Consider the following statements about the BRICS summit. The first BRICS summit was held in Brazil. This is wrong. It was held in Russia, specifically in a place called Yekaterinburg. So option 1 is incorrect. So we can easily eliminate this, we can easily eliminate this. Now we have to check if option 2 is correct or not. BRICS summit were held in New Delhi on 3 occasions. The point to trick you is this one. I'll tell you why. The point is, in India specifically, 2 BRICS summits have been held. One time it was held in, 3 BRICS summits have been held. So one of them was in New Delhi, one of them was in Goa, and in 2021, when COVID was taking place, you had another session that happened virtually, but it was also based out of New Delhi. So technically it has happened twice. Now another BRICS summit is going to happen in 2026. The location hasn't been decided yet. So as such, we cannot tell it will take place in New Delhi or anywhere else. But BRICS summit has been held in New Delhi only 2 times. One, the first one that happened in India, and the virtual session that happened in 2021. So it happened twice, it did not happen thrice. This is incorrect. This is the correct option. Neither 1 or 2. Neither of these statements are correct. Placing the earliest first, arrange the following international events in chronological order. Right. Now, there is a very logical way of solving this question. Okay, first thing is introduction of the World Wide Web, which we call the internet, advent of intercontinental ballistic missiles, and launch of the first communication satellite. I have written the years for each of them, but what if you had no idea about the years? How are you going to solve this question? It's very easy. If you think about it, World War I, World War II, in World War II, we saw a lot of use of missiles. So the concept of missiles was something that was known to people. As such, because missiles were something that was already known to people, so something called intercontinental ballistic missiles was something which might have been developed earlier. Because internet, as we know, is very recent. Internet is something very recent. Right. So if we use that logic and we are like option number 1 is going to be the invention that happened the last among all of these 3. So we are left with this and this. Now we have to choose whether this one is first or this one is first. Like I said, missiles are something that has been known since World War II. So accordingly, any development in missile technology should have happened earlier, because after World War II happened, there was the idea of Cold War that was happening. And in Cold War, the 2 big powers at that time, USA and Russia, they were developing their weapons technology. So this is something that could have happened around that time post World War II. So this is 1957, as you can see, I mentioned it over here. Communication satellite, of course, would happen later, because the idea of a satellite or something, it would begin when Russia sent its first satellite into space. Then accordingly, you would have the introduction of communication satellites and all of that. So by that logic, 2, 3, 1 is the correct option. This happened first, 1957. This happened in 1962, and this happened in 1991. Right. Which of the following rights under the Constitution of India is or are fundamental rights? This is a part of polity, and perhaps from one of the most important chapters of polity, which are the fundamental rights. First of all, right to work. Right to work is something which can fall under Article 19 and Article 21. So it is a part of fundamental rights. Right to privacy, Article 21, by virtue of the 2017 KS Puttuswamy judgment. Now this is very tricky. Right to free and compulsory education is a part of a fundamental right under Article 21A. It is there, it is a part of it. But the thing is, the trick is this thing. 6 to 18 years. No. In Article 21A, it is mentioned free and compulsory education for 6 to 14 years. See, such a small detail. You might have read right to free and compulsory education. Okay, it was a part of it. So, right to work, I haven't read anywhere. I have read about right to privacy in Article 21. 2 and 3 is correct. You will mark option B and then you will come back home. No. This small thing, 6 to 18 years. No, 6 to 14 years. Option 3 is incorrect. You can eliminate this, you can eliminate this. You know option 1 and 2 are already there. That is the correct option. Consider the following statements with regard to flags of international organizations. The flag of EU has a circle of gold stars on a white background. This is incorrect. The flag of EU has a blue background with gold stars on it. So obviously one is incorrect. The flag of the UN carries two pairs of olive tree branches. Very tricky. People might read two pairs of olive tree branches and they'll be like, okay, I have seen the UN logo. There is a globe in the middle and there are two olive branches on both sides of it. So they will be like two pairs. Okay, it may be there are two olive branches. It is there. It is correct. No, it says two pairs. Two pairs means four olive branches. The UN flag has only one pair. That is only two of them. So this is incorrect. Now the ASEAN flag carries blue, red, white and yellow colors. This is absolutely correct. Now they are saying how many of the above statements are correct. Only one statement is correct. Your answer is going to be option B. What can you understand from here? First of all, whenever it comes to international organizations, remember what their flag looks like. When were they set up? Where are their headquarters? And what are their functions? So what you need to remember, year of establishment, headquarter, flag and function. These are the four things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to international organizations. Which one of the following committees is not associated with the decentralization of Panchayati Raj institutions in India? This is again a part of polity. Balwant Rai Mehta Committee associated with Panchayati Raj. Ashok Mehta Committee associated with Panchayati Raj. LM Singhvi Committee associated with Panchayati Raj. If you know these three, you know this one is going to be incorrect. Abhijit Sen Committee is not associated with Panchayati Raj. This is our correct answer. Okay, they are saying not associated. Arrange the following zones in ascending order in terms of their latitudinal extent on the Earth's surface. Now we know what latitudes are. If you think this is Earth, these are the latitudes, the one that runs parallel to the equator. Equator is 0 degree. Now thing is, equatorial zone is obviously going to be here. Above that you have the tropical zone, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. So above that is going to be tropical zone. Above that is going to be mid latitude zone, which we also call the temperate zone. This is also called the temperate zone. And finally you have the polar zone. So this is going to be first, this is going to be second, this is going to be third, and this is going to be fourth. You have to arrange it in terms of their increasing latitude, because in terms of like the tropical zone, it is around 23 degrees. Mid latitude zone is between 23 degrees and 66 degrees, and then you have the subarctic zone, which is between 66 and 90 degrees. So accordingly you see the numbers are increasing of the latitude. That is what has been asked over here, right? Consider the following statements with reference to feldspar mineral. Half of the Earth's crust is composed of feldspar. It has light cream to salmon pink color. Magnesium is a common element in all types of feldspar. Now, yeah, here you have to remember one thing. The first statement says half of the Earth's crust. It is not giving you an exact number. It is a very generic statement. Like it can be 50%, it can be 51%, it can be 52%, it can be around 60% as well. Actually, the half of the Earth's crust is composed 60% of feldspar. Right. So this is a correct statement. So 1 is correct. That means we can eliminate this option because it does not have option 1 in it. It has light cream to salmon pink color. Very similar colors. Light cream has this little pinkish touch to it, and salmon pink is already, it is mentioned pink. So very similar looking colors. So 1 and 2. You can eliminate this one. So this and this. Now magnesium is a common element in all types of feldspar. This is the area where your alarm bell should go off. All types of feldspar. Maybe you might find a feldspar rock which does not have magnesium in it. Maybe it has other minerals in it. Which means what? That one rock which does not have magnesium negates this statement. This is what we call an extreme statement. Extreme statements when it comes to examinations such as this are usually wrong. It might be that you might find some kind of feldspar which does not have any magnesium in it. That makes it an exception. That makes this statement wrong. So this is incorrect. This is your correct option, 1 and 2. Now this is another question which is wrong. Okay. It says that which of the pairs is or are correctly matched. Correctly matched. Okay. Now the thing is, correctly matched, if you are looking forward to it, option number 1, shirt chemically formed, this is correct. Right. So you can eliminate this. Now the thing is, the very important thing in this matter is option 2, which is over there. Just a second, I apologize for this. Option number 2, which shows gesserite as organically formed. Gesserite is not organically formed. Gesserite is mechanically formed. Right. So if we eliminate option number 2, which is not correctly matched, right? This, oh sorry, this goes, this goes, this goes. Option number 1, right? Is chert chemically formed? No. Chert is also mechanically formed. This is also incorrect. So as such, this question is incorrect. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Oceanic trenches are very significant in the study of plate movements. Absolutely yes. We need to study oceanic movements, oceanic trench movements. Oceanic trenches are associated with active volcanoes and strong earthquakes. This is also very correct. In case you have read, like if you have read into your geography concepts and all of that, I'm talking this to the future aspirants. If you have read about your Pacific Ring of Fire, you know that it is an oceanic trench area. As such, both of these options are correct. Option number C is your correct answer. With reference to shadow zones in an event of an earthquake, is or are correct. Zone between 105 and 145 degrees from the epicenter was identified as a shadow zone for both P waves and S waves. These are talking about earthquake waves. Now there are two types of earthquake waves. One are called P waves and one are called S waves, primary waves and secondary waves. Now shadow zone means a particular area of the Earth's interior where you cannot detect these waves. This zone between 105 degrees and 145 degrees from the epicenter, as in the place where the earthquake originates, you cannot detect any earthquake waves. You cannot detect P waves or S waves. So this is correct. And the shadow zone of P waves is much larger than that of S waves. This is absolutely incorrect. This is a wrong statement. The shadow zone of S waves is larger than that of P waves. So option 1 is the only correct option, and as such option A is our correct answer. Which one of the following volcanic island chains is not associated with the mid-oceanic ridge? Now here's the thing. Azores Island is associated with the mid-oceanic ridge, so you can eliminate that. This is not going to be your answer. They are saying which is not associated with the mid-oceanic ridge. Azores Island is associated with the mid-oceanic ridge. But the remaining 3 islands, which is Ascension Islands, Hawaiian Islands, and Tristan da Cunha, they are not associated with mid-oceanic ridges. As in, all of these 3 options can be correct, right? But the thing is, we are choosing Hawaiian Islands as the answer because this is the island out of these 3 options which is directly associated with hotspot volcanism. So you need to understand about volcanoes and earthquakes. So you have seen the previous questions. You have to study about volcanoes and earthquakes. Very, very important. All right. With reference to sea waves, we have given some options. The height of waves is determined by wind speed, wind duration, and fetch. The energy of a wave is proportional to the square of its height. This is also correct. Waves retain most of their energy as they travel across the deep ocean. This is also correct. Hence, all the 3 options are correct. Option number D is your answer. Which of the following statements with reference to soil forming processes is or are correct? Translocation, enrichment, removal, and transformation are different classes of soil forming processes. This statement is correct. In translocation, fine particles are transported downward by elevation and accumulate in lower horizons by elevation. This is also correct. Option number C is your correct answer for question number 118. Consider the following statements with reference to structure of the Earth's atmosphere. Thickness of the troposphere is greatest at the equator. Yes, because of the convection currents, the air moves upwards, and as such, the thickness of the atmosphere or the troposphere around the equator is greater compared to other regions. The air temperature of the tropopause is highest above the poles. This is absolutely wrong. The temperature in troposphere decreases at the rate of 1 degree Fahrenheit every 165 meters of height. This is wrong because the point is it's not given 1 degree Celsius, it's given 1 degree Fahrenheit. People will not read this statement. They will be like, okay, 1 degree Fahrenheit is written as 1 degree. They will read 1 degree. They will think it's 1 degree Celsius and they will mark it off as correct and then move forward. No, there is also an incorrect statement. Option number A is correct. Which of the following are the factors that cause variation in the amount of insolation on the earth? Insolation means incoming solar radiation, the rays of the sun that come to the earth, right? Rotation of the earth's on its axis? Yes. Length of the day? Yes. Distribution of land and water on earth? No. Distribution of land and water on earth is more connected with, I should say, the amount of heat that is being retained. So, this is the correct option. Consider the following conditions favorable for the formation and intensification of tropical storms. Presence of Coriolis force? Yes, absolutely. Upper divergence above the sea level system? Yes, it is associated with tropical storms. High variations in vertical wind speed? No, you need to have low variations. You need to have low variations, which is called low vertical wind shear. Low vertical wind shear. So this is incorrect. 1 and 2 is correct. Option number C is your correct answer. Which of the following factors influence the ocean currents? Coriolis force? Absolutely it does. Gravity? Absolutely. Heating by solar energy? Yes. Wind? Also yes. Option number D is correct. Which of the following is or are warm ocean currents? Now people are going to think Alaska is a cold region. So ocean current is also going to be warm? No. Falkland current and West Australian current are cold ocean currents. So you can eliminate them. Alaska and Aguilas are warm ocean currents. 1 and 2 is your correct answer. State of Assam shares borders with how many other countries and Indian states respectively? It shares its border with 2 countries, which is Bhutan and Bangladesh, and it shares its border with 7 Indian states, which is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura, Meghalaya and West Bengal. So this is going to be your correct option, option number B. Which one of the following is the northernmost river basin of the Deccan Plateau? Answer is going to be option number C, Narmada. Laterite soil in India is rich in which of the following? It's going to be option number D. This. It's not rich in calcium, it's not rich in nitrogen, it's not rich in phosphate, it's rich in potash. Bajra grows well. Which of the following statements with reference to crops cultivated in India is or are correct? Bajra grows well in sandy and shallow black soils, whereas red and shallow black soil is suited for ragi. Yes, this is absolutely correct. Bajra is predominantly grown in states like Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, while ragi is mainly cultivated in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh. This is also absolutely correct. Both of the options are correct. Option number C is your right answer. Now you have to match the cities with the minerals which are found in them. Bewar is famous for mica. So option number A, we have 2. Balaghat is famous for manganese. Bilaspur is famous for bauxite. And Ballari is famous for iron ore. This is going to be your correct answer. Option number C. Which one among the following is not a beneficiary state from the Vindhyachal power plant of the NTPC? The answer is Goa. Consider the following pairs with reference to thermal power plants and their location in respective states in India. Parli is not in Karnataka, Parli is in Maharashtra. Vijayawada is in Andhra Pradesh. Panki is in Uttar Pradesh. Yes, this is correct. But now the confusing statement comes here. Now Vanakbari or Vanakbori is in Gujarat. So we are not exactly sure if they are referencing to the Vanakbori thermal power plant in Gujarat or there is some other place called Vanakbari. But if Vanakbari is the same as Vanakbori, then you have 2 statements which are correct. But if they are not referring to the same Vanakbari, then you have only 1 statement which is correct. So this is a confusing question in that regard. Headquarters of World Meteorological Association is located at Switzerland. Like I have said, important international organizations, you need to keep in mind which the headquarters are. Switzerland is the correct answer. And another good way to eliminate it is a lot of international organizations have their headquarters in Switzerland. What is the nickname of the national men's hockey team of Australia? It's called the Kookaburras. Kookaburra is an animal which is found in Australia. Which one of the following organization has completed 150 years in service to the nation in 2025? Current affairs, Botanical Survey of India, no, because it was formed in 1890. Survey of India, no, because it was formally established in 1818. Indian Meteorological Department, 1875. So plus 150 if we do it. 2025, this is the correct answer. Press Trust of India was made after independence. Jalvahak. Question number 143. Which of the following statements about Jalvahak is or are correct? It is a newly commissioned naval ship inducted into the Indian Navy. It is a major policy for cargo promotion unveiled by the government of India. Both of these are contradictory statements. Something dealing with Navy will not do cargo movement. That is why either one of these statements have to be correct, so you can eliminate this. It is a policy for cargo movement. Option number B is correct. How many rural districts does Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act cover as of 2024 to 2025? Answer A. Option 600. Answer A. 600 districts. Under which of the following initiatives does the Niti Aayog support interested states to establish a state institution for transformation? It is going to be State Support Mission. Which one of the following Indian states accounts for the maximum deposits of bauxite and chromite? The answer is going to be option D, Odisha. Consider the following statements with regard to National Technology Day. It commemorates the momentous events of 11th May 1998 when India conducted successful nuclear tests under Operation Shakti. This is absolutely correct. The official theme for National Technology Day 2025 is School to Startups, Igniting Young Minds to Innovate. This is absolutely wrong. It is Yugantar. This is the theme for this. Option A is correct, as in only one of the statements is correct. Which of the following were added in India as Ramsar site in the year 2025? Sakarakottai Bird Sanctuary, Udhwa Lake, Rudrasagar Lake and Bakhira Wildlife Sanctuary. Now Rudrasagar Lake was added as a Ramsar site in 2005. Bakhira was added in 2022. Sakarakottai was added in 2025 and Udhwa Lake was added in 2025. Your answer is going to be option number C, 1 and 2 only. Finally, consider the following statements about cricket player Virat Kohli. He is a favorite cricketer for all of us. He is the only captain to have scored 7 double centuries in Test cricket. This is absolutely correct. He is the only Indian cricketer with most centuries as a captain. This is also correct. He is the first Indian captain to achieve twin centuries on captaincy debut. This is wrong. It was Saurav Ganguly who did this. So if option 3 is incorrect, we can eliminate this, this and this. Now he holds the record for the most double centuries by an Indian in Test cricket. Technically it is true. But the point is, this statement is vague. It is not giving specifically what kind of double centuries are we talking about. Are you talking about scoring 200 runs or are you talking about scoring 100 runs in both the innings? So option number A is correct, logically. And finally, Ethereum, Tether, Solana and Cardano are all forms of cryptocurrency. With this, we come to the end of our analysis of the question paper. Overall, as you can see, there is a heavy emphasis on modern history. There is a particular focus on current affairs as well. As such, we at Bibaswan Educational Foundation focus on giving you the best and the most holistic preparation for your NDA examinations. For further information, contact us at Bibaswan Educational Foundation. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you for learning with Bibaswan Educational Foundation. For contents like this, follow us on Facebook and Instagram today.